As you have heard, my name is Wilson Mtebe. These days I like to be called Mtebe. I work here as a senior lecturer, now in the Department of Business Administration. But mostly I teach courses in education, especially in the master's program. As you can see, the title of my paper is Role of Education in the Interplay among Culture, Business Development, and the Management. I must admit that this paper is not a result of scientific research like that of James Nyangasi or others. It is really library research. And not only that, but perceptions and my own observations of some of these concepts. And therefore, this gives you also opportunity, to interact and to share your experiences and operations. In the way of introduction, as you can see, the theme for this year's cultural week is really made up of three concepts: culture, business development, and management. The concepts are interrelated. The concepts are also interdependent, sometimes used interchangeably. And when I thinking about presenting a paper, I thought that was going to be easy, but when I looked at them, I found out that they really, putting the thoughts together, I discovered that the concepts need deeper thinking and analysis. The concepts, as I have already said, are interrelated, interdependent, and sometimes used interchangeably. However, in order to get complete operational relations, the concepts in this paper introduced education. I introduced education as a fourth concept. And as you can see, education, I introduced it as a linking pin. But when we are talking about culture, when we are talking about business development, when we are talking about business management, then you can see that education is needed at every level. It is really cuts across. And I thought I should introduce this one and go very quickly, maybe see how important education and all these are interrelated. The paper is divided into six. The paper is divided into 6 sections. And I will go very fast in the area of education. Education can be defined in many ways. In fact, people define it differently. You can have as many definitions as definers, but I have decided to use these two definitions. One is by Mtebe. He says, education is really the purposive, conscious or unconscious psychological, sociological, scientific, and a philosophical process which brings about the development of the individual to the fullest extent and also maximum development of the society. This is a long definition, but I have also a short definition to go fast by Professor Itika. The definition here says, education is the basic instruction in knowledge and the skills designed to enable people to make the most of life in general. And I think this applies to most of us. It applies even to me. When I go to education, any kind of education that would help me, education that would add knowledge and skills and be able to help me improve life in general. Then the role of education. Education, according to Mwalimu Nyerere, education can be seen as something that is intrinsic, has intrinsic values based on its perceived utility. If you look at the education is, according to Nyerere, he looked at education as an investment. You invest in education, and then you look at the perceived utility of your education. I think maybe this is what here we are charged to do as an institution, educational institution, to see how the kind of education that our people get can be utilized in the future of their lives. So that is, education is an investable resource in the social and the capital, according to Nyerere. Education and the culture, maybe a little bit here. The purpose of education is to embrace knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, habits, and experiences. Here, again, here when we are saying, it really experiences, it is related to the education is to bring some kind of change in life. And then, according to this explanation, education and the culture are mutually interdependent and supplementary and complementary. Therefore, education and the culture are kind of related. Education and according to when I was looking at the word culture, according to the Oxford Dictionary, they said culture is really refers to ideas, customs, and the social behavior as a particular people of a particular people or society. There are others who have defined the culture. And culture, some people have really shown that culture can also be visible or invisible. That is why I said the contribution of culture to education. Culture helps education when it is visible, like the languages, dress, food, habits, and so on. Culture, you can even see the culture of the organization like this one. When you come in, I think at the first, is it the second gate, you find that there is an instruction there how you should dress when you are at Juko. And that is Juko's culture. You can also detect when you go to the canteen here and there, what kind of food is available. And when you go to some other places. Culture, habits, and the practices contribute really, the culture contributed to education. I have quoted two or three examples there. On Okara Island, is an island in Lake Victoria, very close to my district. The people there, the villagers, had their own culture of zero grazing, and also using the manure for fertilization. And this, when the experts from the Agricultural Institute in Mwanza, Ukiriguru, visited the place, they said this is one of the ways of learning from the culture, to be able to train the others because of that culture. Another one I think is the influence of culture on the learning. It depends on the culture. Some tribes or areas, you can see they have the culture for learning, and that makes a difference when you go to the classroom, especially to primary school or pre-primary school. You find people are groomed to learning, and some are ready to pick up what they have already been prepared. Another example, I think, of culture contributing to education is what I have heard from the Chaga community. I was talking to a friend of mine one time, and she said, you know, at home, in the evening, you have to count of what you have done during the day. Mother will ask you, what did you do? That really qualifies you to eat the food in the evening. That is very strong. But they grow up with that kind of culture, the value of working, the value of producing, the value of listening to parents. So that is kind of the culture that can also help in education. Education can also contribute to culture. And I have just outlined, I think I copied this, since I did this from the library, I copied this from a book. And you see that really, educational factors influence culture. These are some of the areas: preservation of culture, transmission of culture, development of culture, continuity of the culture, maybe personality development. Culture, personality development can also be, education can help to develop the personality. And the correction of cultural ills, tabia zile zisizokubalika. Okay? Education helps you to change those. And some of them are just traditions, taboos. But when we have education, people get education, they can change, cultural change. It's like the cultural change. I remember very little things like maybe sharing about the Wakerewe. Wakerewe women are not supposed to eat, they are not supposed to eat eggs and some other kinds of fish. They have a lot of fish, but because of the tradition, they are not supposed to eat this and this and this and this. But because of education now, I wish we had young ladies from Ukerewe now here. But things have changed. Because of education, they eat eggs. So we can see that education can also help, since education, as I say, it is really a linking pin of the concepts that we are discussing about culture, business development, and management. Especially the last one, the last two, intercultural understanding. Intercultural, I think this is one of the best things that Mwalimu did during education. Young people were traveling from Tarime, going to school to Mtwara. Some from Bukoba to Dar es Salaam, and some to Mahenge. And at the end of 4 years, these young people have picked up, changed some of the traditions and the understanding. Maybe we are here, as you can see us, intermingled. Intercultural understanding. You can see Mzungu here, and then Kerewa here, and then Chaga there, and all that. But working together, this is one of the benefits we can see that really education is helping to improve culture. Very quickly, maybe, since we are talking about culture, and we are soon looking at the business, I think you can also talk about organizational culture. Organizational culture, I have already mentioned about organization like Juko. It is an organization. It has its own culture. But what does that mean? Jones and George define organizational culture as the shared set of beliefs, expectations, values, norms, and the routines. So, if you are looking at Juko as an organization, you should consider what are the expectations of the people here. What are the expectations of the walimu? What are the expectations of the students? What are the values? What are the beliefs? What are their future plans? And what are the routines? What do they do from morning to the evening? And here, these experts, Jones and George, are mentioning about two aspects of the organizational culture. You can have a strong culture, organizational culture, or a weak organizational culture. Maybe here we can test ourselves. Do we have a strong organizational culture at Juko, or a weak organizational culture? A strong organizational culture, I don't know whether this is getting. Do you hear me there? Oh, good. A strong organizational culture, according to them, it depends on the intense commitment to the actual values. And maybe this, for the administrators, this will be good. Intense commitment to the actual values, beliefs, and the goal achievement. This is, I think, this is what makes Juko what it is now. If you have strong commitment, the values, working together, and then you have a strong. But we can have weak organizational culture at Juko if we do not do that. And members are not strongly committed to values or beliefs, and sometimes even to daily routines. You know what you are supposed to do, but you don't do it. And then that is a weak organizational culture. We hope that is not what it is here. But culture determines how decisions are made. Culture determines what decisions are made. Let us look at another aspect. We are talking about organizational culture. Maybe mentioning this is not a classroom lecture, but when we are saying organizational culture, what do we mean by organization? And organization here, I'm quoting from Michael Armstrong, a group of people who existed to achieve a common purpose. But here, all organizations have management structure. And when we're talking about organization here, I'm including business organizations as organization. The business setup as an organization. What do we mean by business? Again, business, by definition, is an organization where goods and the services are exchanged, mainly focusing on the profit. And again, here, if we go into business discussions, there are two kinds of organizations. The profit organizations and the non-profit organizations. Types of businesses in Tanzania. In Tanzania, when I was looking, I said I did library research. I didn't do a professional, a scientific research, but found out that there are two types, mainly big businesses that operate over 800 million. And these, I think we can have a good example is Bakresa. Is it Bakresa Mohammed Enterprise and another one here and there. But we have also small businesses. And the small businesses include the street hawkers, the Wamachinga, and the other small businesses. You find them here and there. And the type of umbrella, which is the business registration and licensing agency, umbrella. Those four types of businesses, of companies in Tanzania. We have the private companies, public companies, we have foreign companies. Foreign companies can be companies running their business here, but they were registered outside. Tanzania. But we have also parastatals. Now, when we consider about business development, the concept of business development can be summarized in the special ideas. We are talking about ideas, initiatives of a business enterprise aiming at making business better. The activities include increasing revenues, growth in terms of business expansion, increasing profitability, and building strategy, partnership, and making strategic business decisions. Here, formerly, development ideas, and especially in this country, ideas were really the funding for business development was focused mainly on the big businesses. But someone, I was reading, someone's study, somebody, Mbora and his friend, they are at the University of Dar es Salaam, I think in business school. They discovered that this emphasis has now changed. The support is now going to small businesses. The support is now shifting to small and medium enterprises development, partly because they are visible contribution to the national economy. Because the small businesses are doing better, because they are contributing to the development of the nation, and therefore, according to this study, now the support is also going to the small businesses. We can say that generally business development service organization, agencies and services, at least they serve three categories of organizations. They provide the services of development services, first to at the enterprise level. The business development services in Tanzania, at the enterprise level, they build up the capacity of the enterprise. Maybe they build up the capacity of an organization like JUCO. Maybe this is what some other organizations do. And this is what Dr. James and the others did. You look at the organization and you build up the capacity. Another kind of development services, they give it to the the providers of the business development, the experts, maybe like Juko, when we are out there reaching out to the organizations, we want to improve, we are doing consultancy, we are doing that, then this kind of services is also given to the providers who give these development services. Maybe we as lecturers and professors, but also business development services are given to facilitate at national level, mainly at the policy level, to facilitating the enabling policy implementation. This is, I think, what is being done in Tanzania now. Instead of dealing, sometimes the government does not sometimes implement some of the projects and the plans. They say, now we leave that to the departments and to that implementing levels, and the government then moves into developing the policy which can guide the implementation of change that we are looking for. And in Tanzania, this is mainly offered to the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship here, we are talking about, maybe Dr. Habi took us through the entrepreneurship concept yesterday. But we are talking about here the capacity and the willingness to develop organizations. Focusing mainly on our entrepreneurship, our business centers to be able to accept, to build up the capacity and the willingness to develop their organizations. Normally, when we talk about entrepreneurship, we are also looking at not only taking the risks, but you take the risks, you're counting about the happy medium between the risk and the profit. Accepting the risk of starting up, running a business is what I think could be said as entrepreneurship. The benefits of entrepreneurship, we heard about the benefits yesterday, but when I was reading some of the authors, they are saying entrepreneurship in Tanzania play an important role in Tanzania. The small businesses have the power, and even some researchers have done that. Here in Tanzania, I was reading the books on the United States of America. They say their power is really invested in because they are primarily labor intensive. They produce, they keep people moving, they employ a number of people, they employ more and more people. They can establish their businesses and their operations and some activities in the rural area where big organizations cannot, but small businesses can. Then we can also look at the national development strategies. National development strategies, I was looking and thinking through, you can see that we have a good number here in Tanzania, but you can start by Arusha Declaration. Role of education in the national development strategies. In the Arusha Declaration, it all goes with the education for self-reliance, which has left an impact in all areas, especially in education and even in development. We have also the Tanzania Development Vision 2015. No, I'm sorry, it is 2025. The vision here is not 2015. The Tanzania vision is 2025. And you can see here, in the Tanzania Development Vision 225, we can see that the vision is to move Tanzania from present status of what Dr. James was saying, that we are all the way down poor. Move from that stage or status to status of at least developed countries or middle developed or middle income. And as you can see, I think I have highlighted the areas of 5 major targets. And in these 5 major targets, target number 4 is education. A well-educated and learning society. And therefore you can see that education is not only necessary for small business, but also for our development strategies at the national level. And you can also remember the Tanzania Millennium Development Goal. The UN, it is, of course the time is expired, but you could see the goals there. Education was charged with to achieve open universal primary education. That was necessary. And I think when I was reading some comments, they said, I think the Millennium Development Goal achieved this. We are higher when it comes to universal primary education. It was also emphasized that both boys and girls, they should complete education. This, I think, is still on the agenda, because we have people who do not complete education, who go to primary school, they don't finish the school. We should also increase enrollment. I think this has been taken up and achieved, and should increase the numbers of joining secondary school. The numbers are there, but of course, the question now is about quality. In the Mkukuta, the Mkukuta, you can say the Mkukuta education was also charged with to ensure equitable access to quality education and to ensure expansion of vocational training. Then the role of management. I see that I'm running out of time, but the role of management, the concept of management here in this country, I think you can see that it is very important. The role of management. The functions, of planning, organizing, and the seeing of us. And for our business, and whatever we are doing here, I think this is very, very important. If we want to develop, to have business development, we need also to know how to manage it. And management cuts across, but maybe by impression. Some of you were here when we had the RTCs, regional trading companies. Every region, but they are no longer there. We had, at that particular time, after independence, we had a lot of industrial undertakings, factories everywhere, especially in Morogoro. Morogoro, we were employing Mwanza everywhere, but the factories are no longer there. And if you trace the issues, there's really management challenges. So here again, we are saying management is very important for being able to sustain our business enterprises, to sustain whatever we are doing. Maybe management is also important to sustain what we are doing at JUCO. Because if you are not doing it properly, the management, JUCO will not be running as an example of a successful organization. Maybe I stop there, time is running out. But I wanted to say maybe what I have tried to say here is to look at the four concepts: education, culture, business development, and management are interrelated. And we really need them, we need to pay attention to them, or to invest in their interaction, in their interplay, working together. They are supportive. If you look at management, it's supporting not the whole thing, but supporting business development. Without management, you cannot really have business development. Mr. Coordinator, Asante sana.